All right, hey traders, TG Watkins here. Let's see. Oh, that's what we're. Let me just change one thing and get this thing working over here. All right, let me just adjust this one quick second, and then we will be able to be up and running. I have another program grabbing the camera, so that is why it is causing a kickback. All right, let's try it again. Bingo, got it. All right, how you guys doing out there? Hope everyone's doing well. And yeah, so anybody who is in the simpler essentials room, you guys will be able to see this. We're going to be talking with you guys. Thanks, Mirza. Looks like we're good to go. And then those of you out on, well, we're going to be recording this out on Restream too. So yeah, if anybody has any questions, this is a general Q&A session, so we can go through there. Of course, if you guys want to talk about the market, see what's kind of going on currently, we can do that too. But I thought I might start with some general, like, what is the Moxie indicator? How does it work? Maybe some scanning stuff, watch list stuff, that kind of things. Something just a little bit different than typical, like, hey, what's the market doing right now? Mostly because this is going to be a recorded piece that we'll put out there. All right. So as I said, remember to feel free, add anything into the comments. Mitch, good to see you. Okay, so let's jump on over. And I figured what I'd do is kind of show you guys about my, kind of how I look at things, watch list, how I look at certain stocks. Let me grab this real quick. We can bring up the main Thinkorswim. Now, remember, everything I kind of talk about is we have it on Thinkorswim, we have the Moxie indicator on stock charts, and we have the Moxie indicator on TradingView. There we go, not TradeStation. We've tried to put on TradeStation, and it just doesn't work. There's something to do with the programming and all that kind of stuff. It just doesn't happen. So a couple ways to go through this. One is I like to kind of get a sense of what the market is doing, either by the internals. Obviously, you can kind of look here. These are one of the windows that I've created, and you guys can create it too. You can see up here you have a $ VOLD. This tells you the amount of up volume versus down volume, buying volume versus selling volume. And this morning it was fairly strong, but boy, it really petered out quickly. This is why it's a Monday, so you got a lot of news over the weekend where you have pent up demand, people buying, selling over the weekend that then hits on Monday. So yeah, kind of got to be careful on that Monday morning situation. And you can see it in graphical form here, and then you can see it in numerical form up here for the day. And earlier this morning, it was around 6 or 7 to 1. So there were seven shares of buying versus every 1 share of selling. So that's pretty strong. But what you can see here has now gotten to about 1.8 to 1. So that's not very strong. That's pretty mild. And you can see that graphically here. You can just see it's not really doing much, not really going anywhere compared to stronger days like this. And then down here, $sign ADUSD. This is the number of up stocks versus down stocks, and pretty strong this morning, but since has faded. And you can obviously see how the trend goes like this and then up again. And I do find that interesting to follow and to look at. That's kind of one way. You have the ticks also. I don't follow that too much. But then the other thing I like to do is I take my general watch lists and I'll just sort them in various ways. One of the first ways to kind of get a vibe, hey, are there a lot of names up versus down? Is literally just, so I'll pop this out a little bit so you can actually see what's here. So net change, which is the dollar amount, and percent change. I really like percent change. It kind of helps equalize stuff because net change doesn't really mean anything, honestly. So what I'll do is I'll take this and I'll just put it in one order, ascending or descending. And honestly, it doesn't matter for this. You can have the, whatever's down the most to be on top or whatever's up the most on top. But what I like to do is I then take my slider bar and I just kind of drag it down until it goes from positive or from negative to positive. Like, where's that transition? And then I see where my slider bar is in relation to my entire watch list. Right now, it's in the middle. And that's a change from this morning. This morning, let's see, it was if I'm sorting this from negative to positive, it was about here, meaning that easily 3/4 of the names on my general watch list were positive, and there was only about a quarter that was negative. Well, now, wow, Lewis the cat just made a really good jump from one chair to the other. Good job for him. Okay, so and then you can see here we're about half. And so that's a bit of a change. We had a big pop this morning and it's since faded. And these are some things that kind of give you a kind of a characteristic vibe of the market. And you can maybe check this later in the day and see how that's kind of done. It's a very rough, crude way of looking at it. And then you can kind of go down here and see what's up. So yeah, that's kind of the way I like to look at that. And let's see, what else can we do? You can change it as it up from the up to the down. You can kind of see what's moving most, or on the downside, like what's dropping the most. And that kind of gives you an idea of what's happening. Like right now, I'm seeing actually four Bitcoin names all in a row are right here, and they are all negative. Now they're only down 6%. Okay, that's kind of significant, but at least it's not like 20 or 25%. That would be something more to really pay attention to. And so then maybe what you can do is you can click on each one of these and just take a look and see, well, hey, what is going on with the Bitcoin name? So we could look up Riot. Yeah, okay, down. We know Mara's been down for a while. I think they had a dilution event. And then you can look up, Irene, Iris, whichever one that one is, and various things like that. And then you can kind of take a look at this and go, let's see, to the upside. There we go. Well, that's what I want. You can go to the upside and you can look at this and say, oh, hey, what's going on? Well, some of the big winners, cannabis today. I mean, 47% for, let me get this over here, for CGC. So just huge stuff happening kind of, out the gate, finally, after 2+ years. Uh, this does look a little bit more legitimate, but man, there have been several times in the past where it tried going someplace and then didn't. So trying to catch something like this can be a little bit challenging, but there has been some news, I believe, obviously changing this. And you can see if you look at Cron's been up and doing a thing. ACB was an old one we used to trade, and now it would be kind of tough. You could see this thing kind of as it came out of nowhere, it kept going down, 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 then finally up, and it was a 46-cent stock. So probably wouldn't be trading that, except that now it's suddenly popping. So you'd have to just be Johnny on the spot and be willing to trade some penny stocks for that one. And then you also have Tilray doing all right, but man, there's been quite the difference. I mean, look at CGC versus Tilray versus Cron, you know. So it's not a totally easy industry to be trading right now, and that's why I haven't really dived into it. And so you can kind of look at that. Tesla's having a good day. Here are some more of those cannabis names right in through here, and then you can go through that. I think GRWG is another cannabis name. And kind of there's Cron. Yeah, so cannabis having a good day today, and then you can kind of see what percent they're all up, and look at it that way. That helps kind of tell the story. Toast, I think I just saw that. That's one of the names I've been looking at. Let's see what Toast is up to today. Yeah, and see, even though Toast is up significantly, like 4%, and it's high on that list of stocks that are up the most today, you then go actually look at the charts and you're kind of like, meh. So that's why sorting them that way can kind of lead you into some things, but it does not tell the entire story. So Toast looks great if you sort it through big movers for the day, but if you look at the chart, you're like, it's not really doing much. And yeah, that's kind of how that works there. Let's see if I can move that back down here. Yeah, so a lot of names going through there. I have a couple lists. We can do that. Now, there's the other thing we can do. Let's switch up our actual list. Oh, let me tell you, there's one other way I like to sort this. It's through volume. So let's bring this back up to the top. I pretty much just don't sort from least volume to most, because most of these you can see there's just not enough volume. I have them on there because they're either ETFs that are kind of telling me something about the market or certain sectors that I should know about. But other than that, I like to, if I'm going to save myself some time, I'm going to sort it from the highest volume down to the lowest, because these are generally some of the most important names, except for something like Nikolai and MULN. Those are ridiculous names that it's like I don't even know why they still have so much volume. But I think the more volume, the more important that a name typically is, the more well known. And unless you get these crazy day trade stuff like AMC, Space, and which was Virgin Galactic, and all that kind of stuff. And then let's see, I think did I just see there was a SoFi? Oh, yeah, maybe it's just Rivian. There it is, SoFi. So let's take a look at SoFi, because I was hearing some news about it over the weekend. Apparently, some big player was looking to buy SoFi, bought a lot of that. Not looking too bad. Not looking too bad. And if we actually come over here and look at this, a lot of these names I have been looking at pulling back into this area and looking like they're trying to base, so they got really, really overbought back here, and then you see them pull back and kind of find their support, and I'm looking to see if they want to go higher. Compare that to Tesla, which actually is moving today, and do you see basically similar setups, a little bit deeper, but the same concept. They got really overbought, then it pulled back, found some support, and then started to move up. So generally speaking, I'm leaning bullish on this market. It's just a matter of actually figuring out where they want to go and if they're going to work out. There's even another one we're in, GLBE. You can see why we're in this one. It's kind of that same thing. Got really overbought here, pulled back, and now we're just kind of letting it go like this. Hopefully it continues to move to the upside. Monthly charts are looking fine. I mean, look at this. For months, this thing has been following the monthly 10 to the upside. So that's that's kind of where we're looking at that. And yeah, as I said, kind of looking at the volume, starting with the highest volume, tends to be the more important stocks, the stocks that easier to, well, I wouldn't say easier to trade, but if you're going to be trading options or day trading, that's where you want to look because there's plenty of volume to go in there. By the time you start getting down here, like 300,000 shares traded per day, it's like, yeah, you're starting to get into an area where, maybe you can trade on your own. But for somebody like me, who we have a whole room and group and other traders, and I don't know how much money is going into a trade when we put one out there, we want to make sure that we have enough volume. And so going anything under 500, 300,000 shares traded per day is getting a little skosh. Unless the dollar amount is really big, like SNPS, you would expect that one to be a lower volume because of how big the price is. SNPS, $450. So yeah, its general volume is going to be lower, but at 750,000 shares traded per day on average, that's still pretty sizable. So you just have to kind of do the math between shares and price. Like MULN was one of the high volume things, but look at it, it's 46 cents. So you got to take it with a grain of salt and kind of look at the situation, what's going on. All right, then let's see what other things you can do. Come over here, and we have a bunch of scan tools. You can build your own watch list and all that stuff, but right now we can look at scan tools. So if we're going to be bullish, one of the things I like to look at is, let's say, long Moxie price trigger hourly. So let's kind of scoot this over a little bit. You can sort it. So when you do something like this, you can sort it however you want. But in order to keep it from moving on me, because remember, if you're sorting this list by percent change or by volume, those numbers are moving throughout the day. And so, as you go through it, well, they could move on you and you might actually miss a name because when you move from one to another, they could have shifted on you within seconds and then you'll just miss it. So I use this as a quick something, but if I'm like really actually going to go through stuff, I really stick to alphabetical because then I don't miss anything. If I'm going to go through a watch list via the percent change or the volume, I will do that pretty much towards the end of the day because by then enough time has gone by that each it's like a race. Each stock has really kind of started to separate themselves. So, the stocks that have more volume versus less volume really kind of start to pull away from each other. And that way it's easier to not miss something. So anyway, let me change this over here so we can look at this as we go through. We'll get the Moxie daily, hourly plus squeeze. That's my typical chart right in through here. Let me see if I can slide this over a little bit more. Yep. And what we'll do is you can see I've separated this by, or divvied it up by organized, sorted, there we go, by alphabetical order. So A through Z, you can also do Z through A, honestly, whatever you want to do. And we come in through here, and this tells me every stock that has an hourly Moxie price trigger. So if I click on ALK, what you see is right here, today we are getting an hourly Moxie price trigger. Now, that could really mean something, but we also have to make sure that the rest of the chart sets up. Like clearly, ALK still kind of in a downtrend, bit of a bottom feeder if you're going to be going after that. So just because there's a Moxie price trigger, we have a two-part rule for something like that, which means you want the Moxie price trigger to be firing, but you also want price not only over the hourly 50, but you want the hourly 50 to be angled upward in order to be going with you on that trend. And so if I look at this, I'm like, just not super interested. Maybe it's very oversold, so maybe there could be a snapback. And if you like to play those kind of moves, then sure, keep this on your watch list and see if there's something to do about it. But let's keep taking a look. Maybe there's something a little bit better. Yeah, I don't even know what this one is. Let me see if there's something that we can kind of find. Let's just go through this quickly and see if there's something. Yeah, see, I don't want to do that. That stock has been flat for, how long? Just doing nothing. And these random stocks that maybe you just don't know what they are. BTU kind of doing a little bit better as far as that. Bud, okay, Bud's coming up. Interesting. And let me just say, so I know Bud's got a lot of turmoil going on there. So let's ignore that this is Bud, and we can just kind of take a look at the chart itself. So what the whole purpose of using, say, the watch list and scanners and the Moxie price trigger scan, stuff like this, is to really bring something to your attention. It's not to say enter right now or today, or this is a perfect trade and perfect setup and you'll make money every time you get into this. It's more like bringing ideas to the surface. So something like Bud, and again, I know they got a lot of stuff about them, but what I'm noticing, if I'm just interpreting the Moxie indicator on all this, is that it has actually been going sideways for a long time. So regardless of the fact that it's been in the news or this is any other kind of stock, when I see something like this and it's been going sideways for a long time, it tells me that it's probably done going down. And if I start seeing the rest of the clues that look interesting, then maybe I actually want to look long on something like this. And what I'm noticing is here's your level on the daily chart, and then you'll notice that the Moxie indicator has been trending upward. And so that is your positive divergence. So this is telling me this is potentially setting up for a long because of these divergences. And I'm also noticing that the daily 50 was in a downtrend. Now it's at least flat, and that means that it's easier for price to get going to the long side because now it's not fighting a downtrending moving average. Yes, the moving average is flat, but at least it's not down, and it can work with that. And then I see here on the hourly chart, and it's gone from a declining. Let me kind of draw that a little bit better. There you go. A declining hourly Moxie indicator to an ascending Moxie indicator. So these are, again, positive things that I'm starting to see in through here. And we can even see that the 50 starting to cross over the 200. We got some divergence. Let me draw that for you. There's your level. Got some positive divergence, just like we saw here on the daily chart, like that. So maybe this is something to kind of keep on your list and look forward to it. Oh, let's see if there's another one. ConocoPhillips, or is that what Capital One? That's what it is. Again, not super interesting yet, but maybe these names, which have been dragged down for I think a little over a month. I mean, most of the market started to pull back in August, and now we're practically halfway through September. Maybe we're a third into September, and I'm seeing a lot of names basically have just kind of stopped going down. And I would be looking for upside on these things. And what I'm noticing is a bit of a level here and some positive divergence here on the hourly. Okay. And if we can make a little bit more progress on these things, they're starting to look decent. So let's see if there's something else I know. IOVA, it's another one. Yeah, still not doing too much. And let's see, Payo, that's kind of another one. Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, that one's been moving up. Okay. So looking pretty good there. What I was saying about some of these names, which were like oversold, like Alaska and Capital One, you'll see how they had a really big downtrend back here, right? And finally, they just got oversold. And look, now they started an uptrend. So that is a place where you might want to be looking, is seeing if something is oversold and maybe it actually starts working its way to the upside. And where did this start? Look at the Moxie price trigger. So this is why using the Moxie scanner can be really good for bringing things to your attention. Now, as it may not, you may not want to go in right that moment, but maybe right around here, once it flags into support and actually confirms, that would be the next best place to go in, and you found it back here. So this name could have been on your list for quite some time, and you would have had a pretty decent move in through here. So yeah, the pump was another one. I was kind of watching this the other day, and what is it doing? Well, the Moxie indicator is bringing this to your attention on the hourly chart. Notice that previous Moxie price triggers on the hourly chart worked out pretty nicely. And if you look at this on the daily chart, you got price flagging into an uptrending daily 50, and boom, there's your fresh Moxie price trigger. And it's been on big volume today, or yesterday and today. So yeah, this might be something to also kind of add to your repertoire as far as your watch list goes. So anyway, let me see if you guys have any other kind of questions generally, since this is um, a Q&A session. Alcoa, no, the Moxie indicator is the indicator that I developed and created, and this is what really has helped me get to where I am nowadays. And this is how I got to Simpler, was basically coming up with this indicator, using it, and having it basically shows me the ways of the market. And so no, it's one of our premium indicators. It is available for sale on our, I guess, our store. We can have it on Thinkorswim. You can have it on stockcharts.com if you want to pick it up there. And we also have it on TradingView. So whatever platform you like to trade with, we do have it available there. All right. So as I said, a little Q&A session. If you guys not too much going on, I figured I would show you that a little bit about what the Moxie indicator it is. And Alcoa, the Moxie indicator is a momentum-based indicator, and so this is why timing works pretty well. Right here, you can see when the Moxie indicator starts to fire, and even to the downside. You can see here, look where the Moxie indicator fired to the downside, and that was a good timing for saying that this was likely to at least pull back or take a break, something like that. Yeah, okay, we'll take a look at the SPY real quick. So yeah, and through here, and then through here, you can see also, look at this, the Moxie price trigger right there at the top. And you can see that from some negative divergence right through there. And that told us that the Moxie, that momentum and energy was most likely going to start rolling over in that area. Now, the other thing, since the Moxie indicator is a momentum-based indicator, a lot of times if price is going to go sideways or gets yanked down pretty hard, it might take some time to recover. And so while we do have a Moxie price trigger right here, it's a little bit late. Now, if you want a good exit, you should expect it a little bit earlier, like here, like we had on the hourly chart. The fact that it's actually a little bit late here on the daily chart, I'm kind of looking at this as this should be an overall consolidation area. And so since there is no momentum, and momentum has just been kind of sucked out of the market for almost 2 months at this point. I think that the Moxie indicator is kind of cycling back down. So we don't have any confirmed signals yet on the daily chart. We're still kind of watching it. September's been historically weak. And so I think that the markets needed to consolidate. We had a really, really big run, May, June, July. And after you get a big sprint like that, you're going to have to take some time. And you kind of saw that with everything. All the markets pulled back and, basically kind of consolidating and resting. If you look at the NASDAQ, you can see it did the same thing. And what is it done? Oh, I need to get the, there you go. Check this out. You look at these trend lines and you can see it was right into this lower trend line. So this is why I'm leaning on the bullish side, because I feel like we've already kind of taken all of that fluff, all that froth out of the market, and we have come down to these support areas, and I want to see if the market actually continue to move up. I also think all the internals have cycled to low areas, and it just seems to me typically around this area we do start to see some strength come in, but we need to see that actually start to happen. Let's see, Alcoa, we look at SPY. Since I am an end of day trader, I like to wait to the end of day for this stuff to confirm, because the indicators have been moving around. I think you are onto something. I've been talking about this. Price below the hourly 50, but the Moxie indicator above 0 is what I call a trampoline move. Now, up until today, we couldn't actually confirm that. We couldn't actually confirm that because the Moxie indicator was still red and price was still basically going down. Like up until today, so on Friday, we still had the hourly 8 below the hourly 21, which technically is bearish, and we had the Moxie indicator still being red. So we didn't have anything telling us that things had changed. Now today, we do have the 8 over the 21, so that's progress, and we do have the Moxie indicator going green. So as long as this stays, I would continue to lean towards the bullish side on the market and basically say we pulled back hard in August, and now we're kind of going sideways into what I view as potential support. So yes, I am leaning bullish. We're looking for those confirmations. And the next step, if this thing is going to eventually be bullish, is I want to see price get back over the hourly 50, and I want to see the Moxie indicator continue to stay over 0 and stay green. So yeah, that's how that's all going to be looking. All right, guys. Well, if you don't have any other particular questions, and thanks for chatting, guys. I always appreciate it. You can catch me over here in the Simpler Essentials room a few times a week. Just kind of look at the schedule, see when I'm around, and then if you really want to, see what I'm up to, talk to me. We have the chat room, and put out weekly videos, and I'm also in the Moxie room quite a bit. Come over to the Moxie Indicator, Moxie Mastery. and that's where you guys can check me out the most. And then I'm also in the options room a fair amount. So it's Monday. We're going to have the whole week to be able to talk about this stuff and find some good trades. We do have CPI coming up, and then we do have FOMC next week. So yeah, you guys take care. Thanks again, and I'll see you most likely tomorrow. All right, take care, guys.